Okay. Hi folks. I wanted to wait till Dale got home from the farm so that you could see what I was up to today. This is the fleece, the cut side next to the sheepskin that you're seeing here of 100% Finnsheep. I think it's just gorgeous. And you can see the long locks. I want you to be able to see the outer part, the tips of the wool. Here's a good place for you. You can see how long this fleece is, and we're seeing the crimp would be the tiny waves that you're seeing in it. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's a beautiful crimp, and if you could only touch this, so soft. I don't know what to compare it to. Kitty petting a cat almost, and most wool is much coarser. So what I wanted you to see for sure is this side before it is turned over. And when I turn this over, you will not believe the difference. I could see how much work is ahead of me as soon as we flip this thing. But I'm also collecting some what they call second cuts. Second cuts are when, for different reasons, the shearer doesn't get close to the skin. Maybe it's a place that he's concerned about, getting too close and doing a cut on the sheep rather than on the wool. And that would be places where maybe there's folds in the skin, maybe it's just a looser area of skin. He's going to be a lot more careful. So the second cuts then are very short. You can see in comparison to here. Now I actually wondered if this could be, because it's cleaner than a lot of this. Once I turn it over, you'll see. I wondered if it could be on top of the head, the forehead or something, that it would be that short and clean. I don't know. But I am collecting them. This is normally waist. You would not use, well, this one isn't as bad. Let's go with this one. You would not use that. And maybe I won't end up either. But inside, I'm going to show you how I'm using these second cuts anyway, because I'm thrifty like that. And so I wanted to know, is it possible to use clean second cuts? I know I won't bother washing seconds as short like this, but I'm going to find you some, and we're going to decide, is it a keeper or not. This, to me, it's fairly clean in some respects, but it's just, I don't think I've got the patience for it. So what I'm kind of doing here with you is called skirting. And when we flip this fleece, I'm going to ask for Dale's help when we flip, but when we flip this fleece, that's almost a tongue twister. When we flip this fleece, you'll see where a lot of skirting needs to be done. Things that are completely, I don't know if Dale can follow me fast enough. I'm going down here. They look completely felted. Not this piece, it's okay. But when it's completely felted like this is a skirt-worthy piece in my book. I will not be working with that. It's got some all kinds of interesting matter in it. Looks like not just vegetable matter, but probably some lesser desirable things. Now I wonder if this second cut, though, I could call it a second cut. I don't know. I think so. I'll get a little bit here. And drop the rest. I didn't want it. This is not second cuts. I'll just kind of throw it up there for the time being. But if you travel around with me on the edges, I had seen, waiting on Dale, there's quite a few second cuts here. So can you see that? Now what I did inside as a trial is carded it. These are not long enough to comb. Use a comb, which I prefer personally. I like combing the wool, but that's reserved for it. See, I just think that's too matty. Reserved for longer locks. I can't wait for you to see this other side. Ugh. Let's see, is there any more on this side? Yeah, a little bit. Oh, what this is called, believe it or not, is pulling locks. So they would normally pull it from the opposite side. I just have a hard time finding these. Okay, you'd pull from the opposite side firmly but swiftly. Gently, swiftly, and there's the lock. Look at that disgusting dirty tip. There's something called a flicker, and I cannot imagine using a flicker on this whole fleece. I'll show you on the inside there what a flicker is and how this would be used. So I'm going to save some second cuts, save you a flicker lock, but I have a few second cuts on the inside there of the RV, but I wanted to add to it because I had done just a little trial there and had run a little low on my last batch of second cuts. Well, my love of picking will get great satisfaction, as you can only imagine. I think that's doable. And there's a bunch here. Can you see it? Well, that one's not actually a second cut. It's just a partially felted block. Got anything else here? That's too small. Too small. That's a nub. Okay, I almost have enough anyway. I saw that there had been a little bit over here. I'll give it a try. Looks like this whole ball could be given a try. We'll see. And it might be about, I mean, I'm sure I could come across more, but I don't want to bore you with that. Oh, wow, look at that. So interesting. Well, anyway, here's our second cut. And this is called raw wool. It has not been washed. It doesn't smell too bad. It's kind of lanolin-y. Now, that looks like a questionable hunk, but believe it or not, it doesn't smell like poo. It's just, I don't know, earthy. We'll call it earthy smell. Now, I wouldn't probably stick my nose right here in that real dirty looking part because I'm not that brave. But, you know, the cleaner areas I don't really think they stink. Did you want to smell it now? He doesn't want to smell it. I don't know what his issue is. He's a good, supportive dude, though. He doesn't have a smeller. That's why he doesn't want to smell it. So I wish I could ask, do you have any questions? But I don't think we're at that capability yet, but there are comments below. You could ask me if you've got questions. Oh, before we leave to go in the house, I'm going to have Dale turn off the camera. We're going to flip this thing over.
You have to turn the camera off?
Oh, no. Not if you got your tripod, you don't have to. Do you have a plan here how it would work best? Having done it by myself, let's try. Yes. So, look at the challenge. My picking instincts will get all the picking they want, won't they? I mean, here, we got just hunks of poo. No way to say it around that. It's just what it is. I will find that satisfying. Good. It looks kind of like mulch, but I know they don't live in a mulch pit. It's just big vegetable matter. So we got this, and we got this side. Very felted, to be honest with you. This is extremely felted. So I'm assuming that these are the side of the sheep. I don't know. I wasn't there. And that this might be closer to the tail. In which case, that could explain, and I hope it explains, why it's so felted. Because I do not want an entire fleece that's all felted. These locks are somewhat damaged because it's been wrestled on this table a couple of times. But look at that vegetable matter. But look at the rest of the beautiful wool. So, guess what? This will get a good soaking. And I'm just developing this thought as we speak, that this really bad felted part, where'd that go? Here. I wonder, I mean, this would be a huge no-no in the community of wool. But I don't see a problem with it. I do not want to waste all this beauty, especially now that I've found out it can be carded, but I don't know how it's going to spin out. So it's still a process of adventure, experimentation. But I would be willing to cut this off. Don't do that. Don't do that. It has to be intact. Well, to me it's better to use as much as I can. If the whole thing is felted, so be it. It's gone. It's out of my hair. But if we got some good wool here on the end of a matty felted area, and I'm going to say that, you know, it's not pristinely done, or what's another word? Purist. It is not the purest way of going about it, but whoever said I was a purist on almost anything, I get fussy in particular about some things, but when it comes to waste, that's not going to be me. So, I don't know, Dale, can you give them a real close-up view before we go inside? I want them to see things like the kinds of vegetable matter, the fact that this is coming apart as a fleece. It's all one fleece right now, but it's not close together. It's very spaced out. And if you'd like to see the same thing, only the flip side, now this is an interesting question. I felt as though this was damp, and so that's why I had it out here today in the first place. It was to dry it out, because I sure don't want moldy, mildewy wool. What a waste. I mean, it scares me just to think about it, because to me this is valuable. But I'm wondering, because I had it tip out first for a couple hours, and I came out, felt it dry as a bone. But then I stuck my hands further in. It's like, I feel that moisture, kind of a wetness. I better flip this fleece over and let it dry from this side. And so, as you can see, I've done that. It's been out here a couple hours. And, you know, it still feels damp, but I have decided that I believe this is the truth. I think the lanolin in the fleece that's closest to the sheep, that lanolin makes it feel damp. Because I think it's not damp. I think it's lanolin. It's a wonderful feeling, and yet it's a creepy feeling, because it sort of makes your hands sticky, but not in a horrible sticky way. Like, I can't even describe what it would be like. Not a sugar sticky at all, not syrup. Kind of like some thick lotions. You put them on, and then for a little bit before it completely soaks in, there's a little tacky. That's the perfect word, it's tacky. Alrighty, I'm gonna go get my second cuts on the bench over there. We can head inside and see what we can show you about both flecking. I think I brought one in my hand here that appropriately could be flicked. Just in case, maybe we want to grab one. Yeah, till I go over this complete fleece, I'm not going to know how much of it really is felted and how much not. I think this could be flickable, but I'm a little unsure about this part, so that'll be an adventure that we do together. And if it isn't flickable, then this whole patch isn't going to work for us. So let's take a second option. Again, just look at that. Second cut. Kind of a second cut. I want a whole lock. I think this will do fine. All right. And then we'll get our second cuts and head in the house. We'll talk about flicking, talk about carding. Okay. So here were these last pieces that I pulled. Pulling locks. And I found the flicker while Dale was coming in. I'm just going to put this over here in the section on the floor, but organized people might have a little basket or trash can to put them in. So here's the flicker brush, and what you do is you can hold it in any shape or form, and you're going to be working out the tips. And some people, and I have it somewhere, a piece of leather that you can lay over your lap, because these are sharp little boogers. Sharp, sharp, sharp. Now I can see some sparkle in this flicker. I must have worked on some, I forget the name of it. Well, anyway, here we go with these tips. Flick, flick, flick. I think that's the way it got its name. Flick, flick, flick. And you end up with dirt places on the floor on your clothes. It's just got to be something you're willing to deal with. We're opening up the tips here to prepare for spinning. Look how long it is. Periodically turn it. Now, this just looks like a little too much for me. I don't know that it'll come out. And it might be that if this got a mild washing, you might still be able to flick it out. Where's my stash? You might still be able to flick out after a washing, but I tend to be more likely to comb or card. Now, what I find interesting here is how long this is. It's really long. But I guess the flicking pulls it out some. It's kind of a nubby section here I was hoping to flick out. Spank, 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 spank. And I wonder how much of that I'm removing. Good stuff. All right, it's gone. I know you're not supposed to do this, but I probably am going to do a different kind of work on this, so I would like it more separated. I'm wondering actually if no. I wondered if, because it was so white and looked so different, I thought maybe it was some idea of broken fibers, but I don't believe it is. I think those are all connected to one another, top to bottom. Just a different characteristic here on the top where I was closest to the skin. Okay, so you've seen flicking, and it's probably not my favorite part of processing. It's just sometimes a necessary evil depending on the fleece. I've done it before with different things, and it's just very time consuming detail work. Okay, here's the cards back here. And I had told you that there was, oh, I already started this. So with carders, these are hand carders. I wish when I had bought these, they were the cheapest I could find on Etsy, probably from Ukraine or something. But I later wished I did not have flat. See how flat those are. Most of them I see people use, there's a curve to these, so that when you, I'm going to pretend this is the card, the other card, that you could go here like this, and this is bulging out, and as you'll see here shortly what I do with these second cuts. Oh, and no, we're going to do the before after. Kind of like the weight loss thing. We're going to have the before, and this is before. I'm layering. I had one row here, just barely coming over the side of this edge, the last edge of the garter. And then I'm separating, to some degree, separating out these locks with the tips down, because we're going to be trying to brush out those tips that are kind of stuck the fibers together. And as you're doing this part, obviously there's going to be possibly dirty patches that you just toss, or maybe it's just going to be a little too small. Like, to me, that's a nub. We can't use that. And one more. Whoops. Which end is the tip? And in this case, when you see the finished product after carding, I just did 2 rows. Normally, if I'm carding some longer wool, I will pretty much you don't go all the way up here, but I would come within a 1/2 inch of that. And I have heard over and over to not put so much on is better, and it will save you in the long run. There you go. Now, I hope it behaves like it did before, but this was not an easy process because it's not intended that these locks be quite that short. So I'm going to start, and that motion is down and swoop up, down, swoop up. We're catching just a little bit of the fiber as we come down. Just a little bit of the fiber. I'm not sure how to help you see best. Oh, I'm catching a little bit of it, which is the point. And you can see it's starting to open up here. Some of it is collecting on this opposite card. And people, if you go to some of these museums for outdoors, I see I missed a lock going the right way, but it won't kill the project. Williamsburg, or I don't know, the kinds of places that have the skills and teach you how things were done a long time ago, that, they're really going at it. I just don't. I'm a little more careful with how I'm doing it. And the other thing I wanted to tell you was I am not digging into these, I'll call them tines. There's probably a true name for them. I didn't look it up, forgot. But you're just barely touching the surface. You're not digging in. And I think that's what I've seen the reenactors, I'll call them, do, is that they're digging in a little more than most of the current folks tell you to do. And I think that's because they say it's damaging to these tines. Okay, what we're doing next is this guy's going to come off onto this one. Are you ready? It's hard to say what I'm doing since I kind of do it by feel. But the left hand, there's other varying things, people's opinions, but we're going to go with this. You don't want it to take off from here. At this end, you want it to come off kind of down from that. So here I go. Ah, look how clean that went. Didn't always go that way when I was practicing the second cuts earlier. So here, we're just going to repeat this business. Okay, I've got those pretty well. I mean, that one bothers me a little bit, but we're going to go with it. And now I'm going to start coming up. I'm drawing down. Coming, drawing down. Coming, drawing down. There may come a point at which I will get a little rougher faster. But here at the first, I'm just sort of teasing out and evening out, fluffing up. That's a good word for this. We're fluffing it up. So here we go again. We're going to switch sides. I'm not sure how to make you see this better. Okay, see any progress? A little bit. Now what happened is somehow in the process, see, I got really close to up here. I don't know why you're not supposed to do that, but supposedly you're not supposed to do that. Now, there comes also a point at which when you're looking at how this is turning out, You can say, I'm not sure this is a good piece right there. See how thick it is? And why? Because it's such a short second cut that it's never going to come out right. So you can just pull it out, put it in your discard pile. And sometimes, I happen to have picked apparently some fairly clean stuff, but sometimes you're going to also pick out some vegetable matter or some dirt. I'm going to try putting that back in. It doesn't seem that small. Alright, we're getting there, folks, I think. That last pass did a lot for it. Okay. Here's what it's looking like on the other side now. And sometimes, like I said, you can find all kinds of dirt there. Just trying to make you see it's not my ideal way to do it. Because that's what... Okay, I actually think for the point of most spinning, this is ready. Now, we were recently at Frontier Cultural Museum. And they were doing some carding. They weren't doing the whole process that day, but they were doing carding. And they would just pull this off and throw it in a pile. So that would be called the later spin from the fluff. I haven't really done that. I'm a little bit more of a control freak on that. I prefer to take this off in a roll. And the professionals call that, and I'm coming from these tines go straight up for just a little bit and then slant that way, okay? So there's a distinct difference in the direction of the tine, and you're going against the grain when you're combing it out. This one, it's rough. Pull and draw against that rough pull and draw. So I'm going to the easy way to do this so I'm not hurting myself. Going this way, out. And I'm just going to push it, push, push, push. And usually I'm laying it down like this, drawing it toward me. I could feel some issues. It's just a little tiny, call those a nep. And neps are either the bane of your existence, or if you're doing modern day, I want to do amazing artistic yarn, then sometimes, and see, I can still pick. People actually buy fiber that has a bunch of neps in it because they want the look of that in their sweater or whatever they plan to make with it. So this is pretty much it. And so you saw the beginning, and this is the end product. And here are the two I did before Dale got home. Now again, remember, unwashed. And still fabulous. These are so soft, and I'm hoping, now, you know, like I said, we have not spun this yet. Maybe fluffy and lovely will be impossible. But next time we get together with a wool time, I'll let you know. We'll see if it was just a total... It's feeling like a flop, honestly. As I pull, maybe it'll just have to be a really high spin in order for it to spin fast and pull the other fiber forward. You won't be able to... In my opinion, I have never been great with this long draw thing with short fiber. Supposedly that's what you do with cotton. I had some cotton. I could not get the hang of it. Now this one, I can see it will work. It will twist on the spinning wheel over here. Twist, twist, twist. But I have a feeling I'm going to be very frustrated with this. But I'll let you know next time. I'm glad, I was excited to be able to share this with some people because I was fascinated with that whole fleece thing. I've bought fleeces online before, and never were they in one fleece like you saw out there on the table. They've always just been in a big bag and just mush mash. So you pull out some. I always washed it. I don't know that I ever spun in the rough. I think they call that spinning in the rough. If you don't, if you wash. It's spinning in the rough if you spin raw. Yeah, it's still a good smell. I mean, it's just not yucky pooey. But anyway, I'm glad that you could come along with me. All right, you folks thought I was done with you, didn't you? Well, I decided I would go ahead and try these shortcuts, see how they would spin. And amazingly, they do. If you can see over here, I had another bobbin full, and at some point we'll talk about spinning in more detail, but you can see the color differences where the second cuts are spinning up. What I'm finding is I just finished spinning an entire row lag of the 3 that we had. 1, 2, 3. And it spun fine. I mean, okay. Here's as a yarn what that would be like. I can't hardly see it myself. So, what I am finding, I think, is that it would be hard to get a nice even spin on it, partly because of all those tendencies of little neppies, and partly because I'm feeling a less control. But here you go. I'm feeling less control with the short fiber. But using short draw, we're doing okay here. We just dropped out, didn't we? Let's see if we can reattach. More or less reattached. Sometimes with spinning, oh, and I wanted to introduce you to the wheel here. This is an Ashford traditional. I think about a 1970s model of some kind from the little bit of research I've done. But so I'm short drawing. I'm not drawing it out very far. And it's working. So I was wrong. I thought it wouldn't work at all because it seemed like it was not wanting to connect to the fibers to each other, but with careful messing, it is working just fine. So I wanted you to see this on the same video, since the topic was the shortcuts and handling the shortcuts, not wasting the shortcuts. And here you go. Remember, this is raw, so if this is washed, it's probably going to go pretty white. That would be my guess. But we'll find out, because the rest of the fleece will most likely get washed. We'll see where it goes. Thanks for hanging in there. Have a good night. Bye-bye.